What is music? It is surprisingly difficult to define the term music. More specifically, it can be challenging to determine what is not music and to explain why. For example, is birdsong music? It is beautiful and enjoyable to listen to and often features clear, catchy melodies. Can music even be made by non humans, or is it a uniquely human phenomenon? Are the noises of the city music? How about when they are carefully recorded for release by a record company? In 1964, Michael Siegel issued an album entitled Sounds of the Junkyard. Does this recording turn the sounds into music? Does your opinion change when you consider that the rock band Sonic Youth was directly inspired by Sounds of the Junkyard and sought to replicate its sounds in their playing? How about when noises are painstakingly arranged into a collage by a composer, such as in the 1952 work Williams Mix by John Cage, which is made up entirely of pre-recorded sounds? How about when they are imitated by a musical instrument? Henry Cowell set out to capture the sounds of the New York subway with his 1916 piano composition, Dynamic Motion. Or when they are integrated into a concert work, such as the real car horns used in Gershwin's 1928 orchestral composition, An American in Paris. The broadest definition of music to date was provocatively set forth on August 29, 1952, by the American composer John Cage. He made his statement not in words, but with the performance of a composition that is known as 433. The premiere of 433 was given by pianist David Tudor, who came out onto the stage and proceeded to sit in silence at the keyboard for the time indicated in the title, interrupting his performance only to open and close the keyboard at predetermined time markers. The musical contents of the performance, therefore, were not sounds that emanated from the piano, but rather the incidental sounds that audience members happened to perceive during the allotted time: rustling programs, whispers, laughter, a passing train. The composer certainly did not know what these sounds would be and exercised no control over them, and indeed the sounds heard during these performances today would in some cases have been unimaginable to the composer, who died in 1992. The object of this composition was to make the case that any sounds could be music as long as they were listened to as music. In other words, music is in the ear of the beholder. It is defined not by its source or by the intent of its creator. It is defined by the act of listening. There is continued debate over how to define music. The Google Dictionary definition, that is to say, the definition one is most likely to come across, reads vocal or instrumental sounds, or both, combined in such a way as to produce beauty of form, harmony, and expression of emotion. But does music have to be beautiful? If so, who is the arbiter of what is beautiful? Does music have to express emotion? What about music that is not created by voices or instruments but by computers, like electronic dance music? For a different take, we can turn to Merriam-Webster, which describes music as the science or art of ordering tones or sounds in succession, in combination, and in temporal relationships to produce a composition having unity and continuity. This definition is more difficult to criticize, but it still seems lacking. What about the power of music to make us cry or dance or become overwhelmed with nostalgia? What about the significance of music to personal and cultural identity? A dictionary definition certainly doesn't have to address these dimensions, but they are integral to a deeper understanding of what music really is.